If you've been anywhere near the internet, you may have seen this spooky new trend. The backrooms. Yes, the Zoomer generation is terrified of wallpaper. It's an image of a spine-tingling, bone-chilling world with an empty carpet, a terrifying liminal space. It started out as a simple post on 4chan, not to be confused with the evil website 4chan. You might no-clip out of reality and find yourself in the backrooms. This was just a small kernel of an idea, an unsettling, interesting view from the online mind, from the zesty fellows of 4cuck. Like there are just these hallways of unused or cut assets from reality. It's obviously based on how this happens in video games. It was passed around in screenshot threads as a cool little spooky idea. It was common, but not much was ever made of it. Then it made it to reddit.com in the scraping content from other sites place. Naturally, they found it super wholesome and decided to spread it around everywhere. Then some talented kids saw it and made a high quality 3D animation and it blew up. You know what? Deserved. That blew up the whole thing and everybody wanted in, making videos about their favorite memes combined with the backrooms. These things always happen in a remarkably predictable way every time a trend occurs. I mean, once you figure that out, it can make you very rich. I think most people get sick of these things at a similar rate. It's just that some people discover them much later than everybody else. Then, of course, they started making the lore about it. There are levels. People integrating all sorts of heckin' absolutely Sichuan sauce walkable cities liminal spaces into each level of the building. This guy naturally continued to make more of these videos about all different levels of the backrooms, creating his own lore. Then it turned into a monster. MatPat made film theory videos about it, and he gave them to the Pope, and they were so bad that he died. Everybody has gone to the backrooms. The whole world has gone to the backrooms. We've seen this all before. Slender Man started as an image and his mythos grew to include all these unnecessary elements that missed the point and made it less scary as children invent their own headcanon for it. And it ended with a kid almost being murdered. Viral horror can only decrease in effectiveness with time. The same thing happened with SCP. It was a 4chud post. Then it got a wiki and even more shitty additions than good ones and a whole lot of cringe, and now they can't even use the most famous one because it was property of an artist and it was only ever intended as a single online post and never as a property for money to be made off. And here's the thing, children convince themselves these things are real. Like they actually try to supplant these ideas into their own reality. They like to imagine that they could no-clip out of reality, so they need to be careful. They prefer the supernatural explanation over the natural one. Many adults do too, but mysticism is what comes naturally in the human experience. This is why stories of skinwalkers or goatmen are so much more effective for scaring kids away from going into the forest than stories of actual real-life serial killers. A fella named Roger came up with this innovation adoption bell curve. Early adopters on the left, latecomers on the right. I think for the backrooms we're right at the top of the bell curve. We're just a couple of years from the terrible Sony licensed Backrooms movie. But we have a real problem. Our society isn't recognizing the terrifying effect of liminal spaces in our life. Halo 3 is a special game that spans generations of gamers. But if you load into the map Last Resort all alone, something creepy may happen.
There is a psychological phenomena that describes this feeling, often known as canopsia or canophobia. It's the stressful feeling you get when you enter empty spaces, typically a location that you would expect to be bustling with people, only to find the area empty and abandoned. These are sometimes known as liminal spaces. For example, entering public areas after closing time, like a park or a school late at night, long after everyone has left. Another example would be spelunking through decrepit abandoned buildings. I would figure that this applies to abandoned servers on video games too. When I was young, I would sometimes leave important school materials behind at my elementary school and would have to go back after closing time. It's very eerie because I'm so used to seeing this place bustling with people, but late at night, there's really nobody there. Sometimes there might be one janitor, but that is a guarantee. Most of the lights are also turned off. I can't help but get this feeling that I'm being watched when I'm there.